I'd like to call to order the committee of the whole meeting of Monday, December 3rd, 2018. Roll call.
Hammer.
Here.
Trustee Vito.
Here.
Trustee Lowry.
Here.
Trustee Curtis. Trustee Carroll.
Here.
Trustee Martinez.
Here.
Trustee Gaten.
Here. All right, audience comments, trustee comment, discussion. Our one item for discussion is item number 1, solar panel text amendment. Mr. Toth.
Yeah, before I begin, can anyone, because everyone have their screen on, they can see the what's up be projected? If it not, you can just tap the power button just to refresh it, just to make sure
Green.
everyone has a visual.
Yes, it is red and green.
Good. The zoning ordinance regulates solar panels. The way the zoning ordinance reads right now is there are no freestanding solar panels allowed in town. You can cover 100% of a non-residential roof so long that the panels are screened. With regard to residential rooftops, you cannot place solar panels on the front of the house, and you cannot cover more than 25% of the roof surface area of the house. Now, what I'm showing up here is more of a proposed situation, so I'll get to that in a minute. The intent of the zoning ordinance provisions regarding solar panels goes back to when it was adopted. It's more of an aesthetic type provision. It's to maintain some sort of aesthetic quality in the neighborhood so that these panels do not become, perception-wise, a visual nuisance. But what's been happening though, the money has been trickling down from the feds to the state, and there have been companies that will actually go out and assist you with obtaining grant funding to place solar panels on your house. The reason being is that these panels can generate power back to the grid. It's called net metering. So you can actually save on your own power costs and send money back for certain type of credits. So we've had a lot of permits come in for rooftop solar panels in residential districts. A lot of them have been denied based upon the fact that you can't cover more than 25% of your rooftop area. So there were enough that had come about that warranted me soliciting to the Plan Commission and the Village Board to amend that. So the condition I'm looking to go to is to keep it the way it was before. You can't place solar panels on the front of your house, nor could you place a solar panel on any roof elevation that's pitched towards the right-of-way, which in this case is a corner lot. So if you look at the illustration, you will see that the area in the red would be the front of the house. The larger area left, you could not place a solar panel there. The smaller area in red would be pitched toward the corner side yard. You could not place a solar panel there. But everything else could cover up to 100% of the area remaining. That area in green would be the permissible area. So you could cover up to 100% of that area. As it sits right now, you can actually face the corner and you can face your neighbor's property the way it's currently drafted. So I'm looking to keep everything sort of as is, but any elevation that is not facing a street to prevent that visual impact from the street could be covered with solar panels. And it's worth mentioning too that the zoning ordinance was adopted January 1, 2013. There have been advancements in the construction and design of these solar panels. They are more of a stealth technology where you don't have the large racking systems. A lot of them are more mountable surfaces now. So they've gone to lengths, the industry has gone to lengths to make sure that they're somewhat concealed. So even the cells that are facing the neighborhood hopefully would not be visually impactful to the surrounding neighbors. There was a Plan Commission public hearing held November 6th. Some of the Plan Commissioners had no concern with this. Matter of fact, they said that go ahead and cover 100% of the rooftop if you want to. But others are a little more apprehensive. So we kind of just said, you know, we'll use this as a stepping stone. We'll see how this goes, and then if we need to come back, based upon the technology and based upon the benefit of solar energy, we can do it at that time. But this is just a step in that direction to sort of open up the ability of residents to place solar panels in their house to take advantage of the net metering situation. So I appreciate your time tonight. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
I don't have any questions. Well, maybe I do, but I'm very much in favor of allowing solar panels on all surfaces of residential roofs, and I'm going to say a few words about why I feel that way. You started the rationale for the restriction on the front of the house as an aesthetic issue. And aesthetics are not to be disputed. In other words, there's no disputing taste in this world. So each individual will look differently. And as we progress into the future, more and more we're going to have to be relying on energy sources that are not fossil fuel based. The big power lines going through our village at the south end there, across 31 and through the golf course over there, the refinery down south of Joliet, those are all ugly, ugly things to me, but very attractive to somebody who perhaps sells oil. So I'm saying, on an aesthetic basis, I'm not sure that's a legitimate reason to limit something that I think is very worthwhile and very healthy in terms of the future as we go forward, given what we now know and what scientists know about climate changes and what's happening to us. So I would like to go on record as saying, not only do I support what you're doing in terms of loosening up the restrictions, I also want to encourage us to keep an open mind to possibly allowing for that in the future. I read some things on that recently, and actually there's some new shingles that look exactly like roof shingles that could go on the front of the house, and I think you'll address that in this change.
Yeah, as of right now, solar shingles, and you're right, the technology is still advancing. As of right now, you can cover 100% of your roof with solar shingles if you want. What I've been reading on Mike too is that the technology is just not there yet, but yes, that is the direction that the industry is looking to go.
And then on new construction, you can actually design panels, the existing type solar panels, into the construction so they're not an eyesore to anybody, kind of a thing. So I kind of like to keep the board open-minded, at least, to possibly looking at this in the near future, if not tonight, about possibly allowing for solar panels to be mounted on the front of the house as well.
And thank you for your comments. One thing that's worth noting on that is that what I'm hearing a lot of feedback on, and to go to the direction of opening it up, is the technology is best. Works best when you have it on the southern elevation of the home. So regardless if we even go this route, it'll be beneficial, but if you still have homes that don't have the southern exposure, they would not be getting full benefit of the technology.
Right, and if the house is facing south, if its front is facing south and it's at the street, then he's going to be deprived of that opportunity.
Correct.
So also, if there's any grants, if you only cover half, well, you're only applying half of the grant when you may be able to cover the full 100% and use the grant in a better extent. So,
if I saw a solar panel on the front of my neighbor's house, I would feel proud that they had the intelligence to do something in that regard. That's
I
my
would like to
position.
say, speaking from a real estate perspective, it's not something I'm seeing a lot of in the market. And I do think aesthetics do play a large part on property values as well. And I'd like to be respectful of the neighbors, those people who would like to have solar panels. I agree with Mike that let's do this baby steps, graduated steps, being flexible where the technology takes us. But I have seen a lot of homes out west that do have some pretty big, not pleasing to look at solar panels. And I know me personally, if my neighbors had these all over their house, it would impact my property value, and I wouldn't want to have to look at them all day. So I like where we're going with this. Let's allow 50% to the rear, and let's just be flexible going forward as the technology emerges.
Well, again, that largely speaks to aesthetics being an individual kind of perspective. If I saw a house for sale, with a solar panel, that would encourage me to buy it. So it wouldn't be a deterrent whatsoever. Or even if I saw others in the neighborhood, it would encourage me to buy. So I think it all depends on a personal, individual kind of thing. So I guess what we need to really address is the will of the constituents or the residents of North Aurora, what their feelings would be about solar panels.
Well, we've only had a history of one in the village over the last 58 years that I'm aware of. And we didn't have an ordinance at the time saying what it should or shouldn't be. But I think that everybody complained about the ugliness of this solar panel that was not on the roof, it was in the front of the home. So, the only experience we've had that I'm aware of in the past 58 years has been that. And it certainly wasn't pleasant.
Well, what I would say to that, Amir, is that perhaps it's incumbent upon us to enlighten people as to the necessity of where we're going if we don't do something about the use of fossil fuels. And that's all. That's my position.
Well, it's the same as all the other things, mental health or everything else. You know, there's all kinds of things we need to.
High-powered electrical lines are not attractive, and nobody wants them in their backyard. And incidentally, the telephone poles along 31 to me are very unsightly. But yet no one pays attention to them because we're used to those things. And I think that's where we should be going, is allowing solar panels not to be seen as ugly, but not to be seen at all. Be there, but not necessarily, no one pays attention to it. So that's my position on it. I'm all for the changes, and I applaud the staff for coming up with it. And I say let's go forward. And if we don't do it now, let's certainly keep an open mind to doing it for our future and for our children.
How many permits have we had lately?
I've probably had, I would say, between about 10 or 15, which is probably 10 or 15 more than I've had in the past, 5 years.
Did any get approved?
Yeah, there were some that are approved. And I just want to make note, too, that I think it was 2015, a text memo to the zoning ordinance was done to allow variations from any of the zoning ordinance provisions. So let's just say that someone comes in, they do have a southern exposure, they do want to take advantage of this. They could ask for a variance, and then we just take into consideration that particular property and its impact on that particular neighborhood. So there is still some leeway in this if it would be beneficial, and it could address the impact on the surrounding properties.
I'm not quite where Mike is, but I do respect his point of view, and because I'm looking at this picture that you have up there, and I'm thinking of my house in particular, I have a right-of-way in my front and my back. I'm surrounded by roads on both sides, so I couldn't get solar panels at all. Number one, I have to go through the various process and go through the expense and headache of that. Number two, I agree with Mike's point where if you have somebody, if they work best on southern exposure, but your house faces south, you're missing out. We're hamstringing those people and forcing them either to get a variance or to forego solar panels. I do believe in clean energy. I'm not quite to the level of saying that it's quite as dire as Mike is, but
Read up on it.
I do believe in clean energy, and I think we could be very progressive as a community in as far as promoting clean energy along Fox Valley. I mean, we're talking about taking out our dam at some point and cleaning up the river. I think this kind of could go along with that as we brand ourselves and move into the future. So I'm open to having 100%.
I want to make note, too, you had mentioned something that, there are particular lots. We had the variance come in for a fence where the gentleman had a peninsula-type lot, where they had basically 3 right-of-way exposures. This only prohibits the front and the corner side yard. So if your backyard faced Banbury, as an example, you could actually still have it on the roof pitch facing Banbury. This specifically only mentions the corner side yard in the front, just to give it a little more leeway that might not be impactful to a neighborhood. So.
Is this, this is something we should consider for the village hall and for all our village things? Should we panel the roof of the police station? My big thing is taking our wetlands and putting panels in there, and that's where I think we should go in the future. There's all kinds of things that we can.
Well, that idea.
We look at all kinds of things that we can do.
Well, I'd much rather see the windmills that are out along 39 and out west instead of the power, like Mike said. The windmills are much more attractive than the power lines running across the golf course and across the
Well, after talking with ComEd and talking to some industry professionals, they prefer doing this way of going to putting the solar voltaic panels on homes and not doing solar farms. We've been told that it's basically they're spreading out their grid. Let's just say, if there's a hailstorm that hits an area, it's less like there's more redundancy in the system. So they actually prefer doing it where it's spread out throughout the community on residential homes because they have the surface area they're already built, as opposed to going out and purchasing land for a solar farm.
I have a question. So that this home is, I'm just going to take a stab at it, like 25,000 square foot home, or 2,500 square foot home rather. How much, if it uses 25% of the roof for solar panels, how much energy is that? Do we have an idea? Did anybody do the math? I mean, how much?
Well, you'll get to a point.
Do you get out of it?
When I've had that come up, when I've worked with the companies to work backwards, let's say they submit something that has panels on the front roof and the back or the side roof, whatever it may be, when we've had to remove the panels that were on the front elevation and you got down to within the 25% off of the front elevation, it was no longer deemed to be of value to move forward with the project. It was a little significant, so, and I can only speak to that. I can't speak to the actual consumption, but I can only speak to that's what's been happening. When we start reducing it, they lose the benefit, they don't proceed with the project.
Well, I gotta tell you, in 1987, when I turned down a proposal for a water wheel here to provide electricity for us, so we also have other potentials, not just the sun. We still have water power we can work with.
So can
Any other
we
comments?
perhaps do something upon approval based on the type of shingle or the type of solar technology that they're using? So it's maybe more aesthetic, so they can use full 100%?
Why don't we wait until they come out with something that's more?
Yeah, as of right now, you can use shingles, and the technology is getting there, but it's kind of a lower point. You still have the panels. I mean, you have to have the photovoltaic panels there to take advantage of it. The shingles being more of the 100% stealth technology, but the panels are going to be panels for the time being. As Trustee Lowry mentioned, they are going to be able to build it more into the construction of the house. I think you'll have a little more foresight with these, where people are actually building in construction, and they're not after the fact thoughts on an existing home.
Are the credits that are being applied applicable to the shingles as well as the panels?
That I don't know. It's because I've not heard of anyone that has used them so far. I've heard that the technology's not there. I don't know if it's cost prohibitive. It's just the fact that they haven't really mastered the technology to take into consideration all environments, all exposures. It's just not there.
I like what you've done with it, and I think it's baby steps, like you said, and I'm leaning towards it. I like what Mike Lowry also said, but I'm not quite there yet either, but I do like what you've done.
I like text amendments. We can always bring it back if we decide to move forward.
My comment is that there's been a lot of people that spend an awful lot of money on their homes and the roof lines and everything else to make them more appealing to them. And I'm sure that they build in neighborhoods where the others have done that same thing. And I don't know if it's like everything else. Maybe it should be a homeowners association that agrees to this rather than the village. But everybody looks at things differently in this case. It's not for the safety of everyone. In this case, it's for our future. We all feel that we need to do more with.
That's a good note to bring up, Dale. Is that, and I think Kevin, we've had a conversation on this too. Is that there's language out there, or regulations that HOAs are not allowed to prohibit these sorts of things.
Is that right?
Yeah, we as a municipality can, but the HOAs cannot.
Do we regulate satellite dishes the way we regulate? Can you have satellite dishes on the front exposure?
We do have language, but we cannot regulate certain aspects
So
of
if
it.
you want cable, you can have it on front exposure, but you can't have it as a solar panel.
I'm kicking it to Kevin because it's part of the Telecommunications Act, I believe. Go ahead. Yeah, there's a prohibition against our prohibiting that.
On the front.
Well, we have
Against what, Kevin?
Of course, they have to be facing.
Kevin, I can't hear you.
The direction it is.
Can you repeat that, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm sorry. We are preempted from prohibiting people from having satellite. And satellite has to be facing, I'm sorry.
Southern.
Yeah, the dishes. we're prohibited from prohibiting having dishes. So, I mean, there's kind of an aesthetic thing that we're kind of taking out of that game. So it's kind of a mixed bag, really. I guess it depends on what lobby has the most pull at the legislature. That's fine.
Okay, but I think the feelings are that what we're doing is fine, don't go any further at this point in time.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, very good. Anything else? No. Motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're out of here. Thank you very much.